Box. It's time for our podcast.
It's Friday then. It's Saturday, Sunday. What?
You're listening to the Pit Wall Girls podcast, hosted by Darlene and Adriana.
Hello and welcome back to Pit Wall Girls. I'm Darlene.
I'm Nako.
And we officially have a new race winner. Lando Norris is a race winner. Oh my God. I can't believe this happened in Miami. Like Miami Magic, McLaren in Miami. Like last time McLaren won was in Monza, and now they do it again in Miami. So I just think all the M tracks are theirs to dominate. All the M's. You know, we said...
If you got to see it, you were there. That's amazing.
I was at the start-finish line. So, like, yes, I saw it happen. Like, I cannot believe it. So, it's race Sunday. And actually, I was a little bit more towards the back of the grid. And I thought I was right in front. I was right in front of the McLaren garage, but I wasn't in front of where Lando and Oscar were starting. There was 5 minutes for the race to start. I was like... oh, I feel like I just need to get a little bit closer. So I actually left my seats and I ran to like be in front of where Lando and Oscar were. And somebody's like, ma'am, this is in your section. I'm like, I know, I really just want to take like a little video. And they're like, okay, you have 2 minutes. So like I recorded and I'm like, oh God, I hope you do so well. But I didn't even hope he would win. Like I wasn't thinking he was going to win in Miami because they were starting a little bit further back.
Yeah, and he didn't do that well in quali or anything, so I didn't know what to expect.
I mean,
it just worked out for him.
Complete insanity. Yeah, he's a race winner. Okay, well, it was another sprint weekend, so you know that means there was a lot of action. There was one free practice session, there was 2 qualies and 2 races. So we'll just give some of the highlights that I guess happened. And did anything significant happen in the qualies?
Well, so I think it was in sprint quali when like Leclerc did the little turny turn. He got stuck in the middle of the track. You were probably busy doing stuff, but he
you tell us.
He caused like a traffic jam because he like stopped in like the middle of the road, like right before he goes underneath like the highway.
Yes.
And like Verstappen was like, what am I supposed to do? I can't get around him. And he was just trying to do like a 15-point turn or something. And it was kind of that's pretty much all I remember. What I realized this weekend was sprint weekends are really fun. You know, it creates new action and stuff when the real race is boring because Verstappen's just going to win. When the real race itself is like so exciting, I almost feel like, you know, I don't even remember what happened in the sprint. It feels like such a long time ago.
Yeah, it does feel like a really long time ago. I mean, I feel like it's only the Monday after the race. It is now Friday after the race, so we're almost into the weekend again. But yeah, everything that happened before the race, I can't even remember. So for the sprint quali, I was actually walking into the track right at noon when it was about to start. And by the time I made it inside the stadium, so I was sitting inside the stadium, I had campus passes that were provided to me by F1 Miami. So thank you very much. It was so fun to run around all of the campus and just see all the activations, food vendors, and fans. But I decided to watch from inside the stadium where you look down and all the team hospitality suites are there. But as I'm walking in on the big screen, I just see like it pan to Lando and say, I'm out. I got hit. I'm out. And for a while, I didn't even know what had happened. But yeah, he DNF'd in the sprint.
The Stroll.
Go figure. Was it because of Stroll? What happened? Because Stroll kept on for a bit.
Yeah, I think Alonso crashed into Stroll, and there's a little bit of debate on whose fault it really was. But then Stroll, because of that crash, hit Lando. But I think Alonso and Stroll were both fine, and Hamilton was involved. It was like a 3-way.
Yeah, I heard it
thing
was
between
Hamilton.
the 3 of them.
Yeah, I heard it was Hamilton
Lando
came
was like
in
a
as a goal.
Yeah, and Lando was just like a casualty of that whole interaction.
Okay, yeah, because I had heard that it was Hamilton who like came in way too hot and caused.
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
Well, something happened.
Lando just happened to be there, and I think Stroll was the one who ultimately hit Lando, and he DNF'd. But you know, I'm thinking like maybe doing well in this sprint, like maybe you don't want to do well in this sprint because last time Hamilton did well in this sprint, and then he was nowhere in the Grand Prix. This time Ricciardo did well in this sprint. He got P4 in the sprint. He was nowhere to be seen in the Grand Prix. So maybe unless you're Verstappen, you don't really want to do well in the sprint. It doesn't really bode well.
Yeah. Well, since you brought up Ricardo, I have to bring this up because in the past, we've recorded episodes about like F1 related dreams. And last night I had an F1 related dream. I had a dream that Daniel called me and asked me if I could pick up some Trader Joe's items for him. And I vividly remembered from my dream, he asked for frozen shashuka and a frozen pizza. I don't know if I was just hungry in my sleep or something.
That's very weirdly specific.
Yeah, he's like, can you pick this up from Trader Joe's? And I mean, I'm a dietitian. I love grocery shopping. So I was having a blast in this dream. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe Daniel does love some frozen pizza.
Yeah, maybe you're manifesting. You're just going to get a random call someday.
Can you bring a frozen pizza for Ricardo? I mean, it could happen. Me with my dietitian skills. Healthy like cauliflower pizza.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yes, sprint, so much happened, but the main event, the actual main event, was the race. So, shall we dive into this race recap?
Yeah, so, with quali, I think, I forget if it was in regular quali or sprint quali where Verstappen was like, what happened to everyone else? Like, I did so bad and like, I got P1, like, what happened to everyone else?
I think it was in the real quali.
Yeah, so I feel like people, weren't really getting like the setup right yet, or like they just hadn't quite figured out the track. So for quali, the results were Max was in P1, Leclerc P2, Sainz, Checo, Lando, and Piastri. So Lando was starting P5 with Piastri right behind him and Sainz right in front of him. And immediately in lap 1, we get some action because Sergio Checo Perez decides to just dive bomb almost into Max. And I'm like, what if he had run in, like, actually taken Max out? That would have been crazy.
The memes coming out of that were hilarious. They were like, this is where Checo's career almost ended.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But
did you see Wait, go.
Just like his reaction time. It was so quick.
Yeah. But did you see the post race, like when they're like watching the video together, like the top 3?
The water room.
Yeah, and Verstappen's looking at like that moment happening, and his face is like,
yeah, like he didn't know that had happened.
Yeah, he had no idea because it happened behind him, but he almost got taken out by Checo. So not great for Sergio in preserving his seat at Red Bull.
But great for Oscar Piastri, who was cooking P6 to P3. I was like, Piastri podium in Miami. That was my first half of the race. I was just like, Piastri's going to get a podium.
Yeah, he was in P2. He like actually stuck around Max for a while. Like he kept the gap to around 2 seconds for a while. So he didn't let like Max walk off into the sunset, which is interesting. But immediately with that chaos, Piastri jumps Leclerc and Sainz, is in P2, and then Leclerc is behind Piastri, and then Sainz. So for a while, Sainz is just like, switch like to the radio, like switch me and Leclerc, like make him go and give me a spot, like just constantly telling his race engineer that he's going faster and that they need to switch the cars around.
Carlos was not having it this race. Yeah,
Sainz was like active on the radio this whole race for various reasons.
Later down in the race, like further laps down, he thought that Oscar Piastri overtook him offside or like off track, and he kept saying, tell McLaren to give me the position back so they don't get a penalty. You need to tell McLaren. It's weird. Like no one's gonna tell McLaren anything. Like they're not gonna run over.
At first he was, just trying to tell his engineer, like, Piastri's at fault, he needs to give his space back, like what drivers generally do, to try to appeal to the FIA. But then it turned to, no, you should call McLaren up and tell them to tell Piastri to give me this space back so that they don't get penalized. And then at some point, the race engineer is like, no further action. And he's like, oh, just leave me alone.
Leave me alone, Ricky.
Leave me alone, Ricky.
Actually, that was my favorite team radio. I think the leave me alone, Ricky.
Leave me alone, Ricky. Yeah, but that was crazy. But yeah, that happened later in the race. Again, in the first lap, so when all that commotion was happening, the Alpine drivers also almost ended the race for themselves. They almost crashed into each other.
Side by side. And Miami isn't that wide of a track, but yeah, Gasly and Ocon going at it for an entire lap. We got some really good racing in Miami.
Yeah, there was a lot of overtaking. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, I don't think we've seen such an exciting race in Miami before. So,
Mm-hmm.
no, it was really fun. There's a
Yeah.
lot of overtaking happens. And so, yeah,
So,
Piastri
mhm.
gets into P2. And I feel like the whole time we were just waiting for something to happen to kind of
And I
shake
think
up the
that
grid,
something that happened was Max taking out a pole, a
which
bollard.
I for the first time learned that pole that's orange and white is called a bollard.
A bollard, yeah, it has a
I
specific
don't know.
name.
I,
Max's response to taking that out was hilarious. He's like, I just took it out so it wouldn't be in the way for everybody else. But
yeah.
as I rewatched the race, they were saying how they actually really need that pole there to be able to see the chicane, and some drivers weren't able to see it. But Max was just being funny. And I mean, it was good that he took it out because he triggered some safety cars.
Well, so he triggered a virtual safety car, which
Mm-hmm.
lasted like, I don't know, a minute. Like it was so short. So I don't know if actually anyone was able to take advantage of pit during the virtual safety car. It
I
was
think
really
what
short.
happened was that because they thought there was going to be a long virtual safety car, cars started to pit and they lost that advantage because you never needed to go lower in your delta.
Yeah.
So it might have actually screwed over some people who probably
Yeah.
only were pitting because they thought it was going to be a shorter
Yeah.
pit.
And it was mostly the back half of the grid
Yeah.
that pitted early. So it was mostly like people P10 and behind, like tried to use that to pit early.
Yeah.
But what I thought was crazy was, so this happens to Verstappen. He has potential damage to his front wing or something, or like something's up with his front wing. And so he pits to hards. They also adjust his front wing. And they
Mm-hmm.
do that all under 2.2 seconds. Like, what? Sauber could never.
Never, never. They would have been there like 2 minutes, not 2.2
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I thought that was crazy. But, people were speculating, like, was Max's pace for the rest of the race, like, affected because of any damage? But I think there was some analysis that F1 TV did, and
Mm-hmm.
it showed that, he actually didn't lose any pace
Okay.
after that. So I don't, because people are trying to, like, say all these things to disparage Norris and saying it doesn't
our
count.
boy Lando won by 7 seconds. Even if this wouldn't have happened to Max, maybe they would have been battling towards the finish line. But Lando did say he was going to go for the fastest lap. But he just
Yeah.
pictured Andrea in his head saying, no, Lando, no. And
Just
he didn't
chill, yeah.
actually try to go for it. But he was hurrying up because he didn't want Max in the back of like him crossing the finish line in that picture.
That's so funny.
Which I don't think he had Max in the back of that because there was like a whole 7
No,
seconds.
it was like
but
7 seconds.
Lando won because
Yeah.
Lando is our next world drivers champion.
Yeah, but so after the VSV, the race resumes, and
Mhm.
then we were all kind of just waiting to see what was going to happen because Lando was getting like fastest lap after fastest lap. He was,
Yeah.
really fast. He was really making a lot of good time.
Mhm.
And so we were like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Leclerc and Sainz both pit.
Mhm.
And so Max is still out, and Lando's, gradually making up time. And then
Bam.
Logan Sargent comes in handy with his every week he has a crash, and this time it came at the right time because K-Mag and Logan Sargent
Collided.
crash into each other, and
Yeah.
it causes a safety car.
Mhm.
The safety car is so used to Max Verstappen leading the race that it comes out behind, right in front of Max,
That was
not
funny.
right in front of Lando. So
Yeah.
like Lando was like way far ahead, that the safety car like just came out in the wrong.
Yeah, had to go
spot, I
overtake
guess.
Lando essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the cars had to catch up back to Lando, but
Mhm.
that meant that Lando had plenty of time to pit and come out
Yeah.
of the pits as the race leader, which
So
is
in
so
that
exciting.
very moment, I had walked away to get a drink, and when I came back and I look, I'm
No.
like, Lando's leading the race. Oh my God, safety car. Oh my God, Lando pitted. So Lando says that from lap 33 on, he had a smile on his face. From lap 33 on, I was like just so nervous. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't even talk. People were talking to me. Oh, so I watched the race with a bunch of Dutch people sprinkled in with a couple of Italians. So it was like full on like cheering for Max. and Ferrari. And then there I am decked out in like papaya McLaren orange colors. And everybody just was like looking at me and they were like trying to talk to me and I couldn't really talk. I felt so bad because I was like, I could just focus on this right now. I was so nervous. They're like, but he's going to win. I'm like, but you haven't seen his other races then, that towards the end, he might spin out. So I was just like, okay, just keep it together. Just keep it together.
Yeah.
There's no rain forecasted.
I was so nervous for the restart because I was like, he better get a good, restart, because Max will be right on his tail. But no, he had a really, really great restart. He gets ahead and the gap kept growing and growing and growing. And
2 seconds, 5 seconds, 7 seconds.
Everyone was just holding their breath. And then, all while this is happening, Sainz and Piastri are having their own battle.
Yeah.
And, after a while, Sainz and Piastri are battling it out.
Mm-hmm.
Piastri gets damaged, has to pit, and he's, overtaking cars. And his race engineer's like, take it easy. Lando's the race leader. We don't want to cause a safety car.
That was so interesting.
Don't do anything crazy.
Yeah.
Because, Piastri was trying to, I think get back into the points and have to overtake a bunch of people. And they were just like, don't be too aggressive.
Yeah,
we don't want a safety car.
Piastri's race was really ruined. But I did think
he had good pace, too. Yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't have the upgrades on his car. But I did think
I think he had half of them.
Oh, he had half of them, yeah. The radio message from McLaren to Oscar was very interesting. It's like, Lando's leading. We don't want to trigger like a safety car. So, yeah. And I think that Carlos was like booking it as well because he wanted to be on the podium with Lando. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was just kind of mad, Sainz was just mad the whole race.
Yeah, we didn't get a Car Lando podium, but we will get other ones.
But that's pretty much the race. It was so exciting. Yeah, Lando won.
Yeah,
Max came in second.
You were saying Yuki got good points, but he was overshadowed by Lando's win.
Yeah, so Yuki, P7 finish. Great race for him, quietly. And Esteban Ocon, first points of the season for Alpine.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he came in P10, so 1 point. The first points that team has gotten all season. So
Travis Kelce
really
was there,
them.
Who's an investor in Alpine.
Yeah, Mahomes was there too, I think. Yeah, Mahomes was there. So
Ocon got them
doing
a point.
well for their investors, but all of that was a little bit overshadowed by the fact that Lando won his first race.
Yeah. Well, so well deserved. I'm like, I still can't even believe it. Every time I watch a video of Lando crossing the finish line, like I'll cry or I'll get goosebumps. I didn't cry right when it happened. It took me a little while, but then I was like, tears are...
No, it was so cute. And right after the race and jumping in to the arms of his team. And he just seemed really flustered and he wasn't really, expecting it. So, it was really fun. I hope it's not a fluke. It was funny because people have resurfaced his old quote that he had last year, a couple of years ago. There's Rosberg retired after his first championship. I'm going to retire after my first win. Yeah. Lando, please don't retire. This is just the beginning.
Please don't retire. No, I think he likes this feeling and he's going to hold on to it.
Yeah.
So other things that happened in the race were, Charles apparently had no water in the Miami heat. I can't even fathom that.
Which is crazy. He didn't have water. Something with his water system in his car failed, so he didn't have water the whole time. That's happened a couple of times
to other drivers. Yeah.
Yeah, but in Miami, that would not be great.
No.
I'm sure it was really hot. Right?
You know what I was thinking? I feel like F1 picks some of the hottest destinations to race at. Baku, Singapore, Miami. These are hot places. Vegas is not that hot because it's a night race. I am so championing that Miami becomes a night race. It would be extremely cool and it would just be great for the fans. The heat is unbearable. The walk into the track is pretty lengthy and most of it is outside. Not a lot of the grandstands are shaded. So a night race would be 10 out of 10 in Miami.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. If you're listening, F1.
Who would it be? The FIA? I don't know.
Who knows what controls what? I don't know anymore.
Someone is listening because they're talking about taking the points all the way down to everybody who crosses the finish line. So that would be very interesting to see.
What we talked about.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that happened is K-Mag in the sprint race, got like 20 seconds of penalties in the sprint race. I think he had like almost more seconds of penalties than there were laps in the race or something.
That's hilarious.
And so he's really close to a race ban. Because
he's 2 points away, right?
Yeah. So he might get a race ban, but like one of his quotes after the crash was funny. He is like, you know, like I was just doing it for the team, like, you know, I was just following orders. And I'm like, I don't think anyone's asking you to like dive bomb people left and right.
Well, this is only like race 5 or 6, so I can definitely see him being banned. In that case, do you think Ollie Behrman would come in and have to replace him for the remainder of the season?
Well, a race ban is just for one race, right?
Oh, is it just for one race?
I think so.
Really?
Should we fact check?
Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking it would be for the rest of the season. That's not that big of a deal. I mean, it can be if you're leading the championship.
It's a one race suspension if you accrue 12 points over a 12-month period.
Does it reset when you hit the 12 points, or you just can't keep getting any more points?
Oh, I don't know about that. That's a good point. I don't know.
I feel like it probably wouldn't. I don't know if it would reset. In the past, Gasly has been extremely close to hitting this race ban.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, TBD, we'll see what happens. We'll get to you if the race ban occurs.
But yeah, Ollie Behrman will definitely replace him at least for one race.
Yeah. So, WTF, fave, and oh my god moments of the race. Mine are all Lando. Just Lando.
Yeah.
Mine was what the F coming back and just seeing that he was going to lead, had pitted his safety car. And then my fave moment was him just like running into the arms of his team.
Yeah,
like,
it was so cute.
Flew. Like, how did he know that would work? He just, maybe he's talked about this before.
I was so nervous. I was like, has he been weighed yet? Like, are they allowed to do that? Like,
so was I. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh my god, did he get weighed? Like, I had a direct line of vision to him when he got out of the car. Like, I was watching that whole thing. I actually thought I recorded him coming out of the car, but I didn't even hit record because that's how flustered I was. But it's been recorded in my mind. I'll never forget the moment he took a little while to come out of the car. I mean, it's on F1 TV. But I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, did he get weighed? Like, there was so much commotion. I was so nervous. I'm like, I hope he doesn't get disqualified. Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like the same. Like, all of my things were Norris related. So, yeah, it kind of overshadowed everything else that happened.
Yeah.
But I think this is great for Miami, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I think it was great that y'all had a good race. Like, I feel like people were kind of complaining about this Grand Prix before, so it ended up being so exciting.
So there's a stat going around, and I think that it is that Miami has been the most watched American race. It had like 3.1 million views. I don't know if that's super accurate, but I definitely know that the race broke some records. I think it might be the most watched F1 race in America.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Not
like
sure.
in person or like streaming?
TV streaming, yeah. Like tune-ins into ABC, I believe that's what it was.
Interesting.
But yeah, they did like how many views the race got the first, second, and third year, and this year has been the most. But I think it's not just the most Miami. Maybe like between Austin and Vegas, I don't know. You know, they're trying to make the stats.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a good time of day for everyone watching it. Like Vegas, for it being a U.S. race, is like hard to watch on the East Coast. You know, so yeah, no, I get that. But I would like to say my WTF isn't about like the race itself, but it's about all the Lando haters saying like he only won because of a safety car. So his like post-race interview, they're like, well, you had some luck there, didn't you, with the safety car, like making it seem like he wouldn't have won it with his own skill. So I feel like I would like to say that his pace was so good. Even if there was no safety car, Lando would have had to eventually pit. Verstappen was on older hards. Yeah, I think Lando would have still been able to overtake Verstappen on track. So I feel like the safety car even sort of made it that we couldn't see that battle happen. But I think that he would have still beat Verstappen just like on track. So that's my WTF. For the first time in my life, met someone who's like, oh, my wife's like a Max Verstappen fan. And I'm like, that's interesting. Like, I haven't met that many Max Verstappen fans
I
in
know
my life.
so many Max fans.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
But
I do.
I was like,
I
you
was
know, I
with
was
them
so
on Sunday.
like at work, like, you know, I don't get to talk about F1 that much. So we were like doing all these in-person stuff. I was like, I finally get to talk about F1 with someone and like talk about how Lando won. And they're like, well, we're not happy with this because, you know, we think that sort of won if they won for the safety car. I was like, oh,
Max
rain on my
was so
parade.
happy that
Thanks.
Lando won. I've never
I
seen Max
know.
happy after not getting P1, other than like he was just like waiting to be interviewed and he was smiling and he was like, wasn't that so great? It's almost like he was a spectator and he wasn't racing.
Have you
But
seen the memes where like they're like Max when Max wins and he's like frowning.
yeah.
Max when Lando wins and he's like smiling.
Yes, I've seen them. And they also did it for
Yeah.
Carlos. Super cute. Everyone was
Yeah.
congratulating
And I
Lando.
think that was my fave moment too, is that on all the radios, yeah, they were all like, congrats, Lando Hamilton. I was like really excited for him too.
Clapping. Yeah. So great. But yeah, Miami was a great race. And there's also the F1 Academy. I got to walk through the F1 Academy paddock and it's very cool. Charlotte Tilbury is, I believe, not only a sponsor of one of the teams, but like a actual sponsor of F1 Academy.
Yeah, I think they're like the partner of F1 Academy.
Yeah. And now they also have American Express. So they definitely have some big names. Looks like F1 Academy is on its way up. My only hope is that maybe, you know, they get faster cars so that, you know, the girls know what it's like to really compete against like or compete in F1
it was
cars.
a good weekend overall for McLaren because the F1 Academy driver from McLaren podiumed.
Yeah, Bustamante. Her first, I think, podium. Yeah.
Yeah, she's really cute. I know she had not a great start to the weekend and was able to make up a lot of
she stalled
pace,
at the start. Yeah. But I definitely want to get more into F1 Academy. So I'll probably go back and like rewatch some of the highlights because it was just like too much there. And they also had another racing series going on, the Porch. And it's so loud, those cars. It's insane. Like you can't really think when they're going around the track. Yeah, lots of activities in Miami. There's a lot of activations going on as well. I feel like in Vegas, there's also a lot of activations, but everything is centered around the track. Here, the track is pretty far away from the beach and the downtown, so it's very hard to be everywhere at once.
Right. In Vegas, everything's just like central, like in the hotels
everything's
and stuff,
around the track. Yeah. Versus here, the track is like an hour away from like, I would say main Miami. And then with the traffic, probably like 2 hours. I almost didn't go to the race on Sunday, actually, just because I was so tired from the rest of the weekend. And I really
wanted... Can you imagine had you skipped it? You would have been so mad.
I would have been so mad. And I mean, on Sunday, I actually got invited to go to the start-finish suite. So I was like right there where the action was. And I used to think that wasn't a great viewing spot. My favorite viewing spot is like turn 6, 7, and 8 by the marina, like lots of action. But the main straight is a nice place to watch the race.
Yeah. Wait, what does the fake marina look like in person? Like, does it look like weird that there's like fake water there?
No, I personally don't think so. I think it looks really cool because the boats are real. So it's like, just like if you were at a marina, it'd just be the floating boats. It's just like, if you get really close to it, you see that it's a sticker.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Because on TV, it looks pretty real.
Yeah. I mean, everything is real except that there's no real water.
Right.
But there's like real decks. So I think this year they did like a Ferrari and Celsius partnership in the marina because I kept seeing influencers post that they were there for Celsius and Ferrari. There were some changes on the track. I will say there's like a lot to do on the campus. So they have some hospitality houses. Like this year they had a Mercedes one. They did not have a McLaren one. It got turned into a liquid IV house. So I think things change over the years.
Well, next year, hopefully I'll be there with you.
Yeah, we'll be running around. We could be interviewing people. Okay, so lots of headlines actually to cover. So let's dive into them. So this isn't an hour-long episode and you know what's going on this week in the world of F1. So something I want to point out is that we probably by now know that Charles Leclerc has a cute new little puppy. The dog had a paddock pass and his name is Leo Leclerc Saint Malou, his girlfriend's last name, which that's just so adorable.
That's really cute.
Yeah.
Little Leo.
Yeah, little Leo. Lewis was at the Met Gala following the race, dressed in Burberry. His look was very thought out. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, there were so many bad looks at the Met Gala this year, so to even have like a decent one, I feel like is a win. And he looked great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We talked about the penalties. What else is there to talk about? Well, after the race, we are F1 Swifties over here. At least I am a big F1 Swiftie. And Taylor Swift's boyfriend, Travis Kelce, which we said he is an investor in Alpine, was at Carbone Beach with Lando Norris after the race celebrating.
Ditching his own team to hang out with Lando.
Think? Yeah, what do you think? Wait, what did you say?
I was like, he was ditching Alpine. He's ditching his own team to go hang out with
Lando. Yeah. What do you think they were talking about? Do you think he's like, mate, you should come out to one of the Eras Tour concerts in like the UK?
No, they're probably talking about like watches and like cars and
Do you think so? I would like. Well, Lando has said he's a Swiftie in the past, and there's a video of him singing Taylor Swift songs with Oscar.
That's true.
Yeah,
that is true. So maybe they were talking about Lando. Well, he'll make an appearance.
Maybe we'll see. Trade some friendship bracelets. Well, Taylor was decked out in orange yesterday for the start of her European leg, and I was like joking that that's because McLaren got a win because she changed her outfits from like her typical pink and blue to like fiery orange and red. So maybe she's the McLaren fan. Maybe Travis was talking to Lando about should I invest in McLaren. I think that's what was happening.
Well, I'm sure Zach Brown will welcome it.
Zach Brown loves his new partners, new partnerships. Well, I guess we'll never know. Wish I could have been a fly at Carbone Beach. Okay, and then big news. Charles Leclerc will have a new race engineer. He's parting ways with Javi. Thoughts on this?
They're no longer checking. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, like I don't know how he feels about it. I mean, I don't really know whose new race engineer is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there have been definitely questionable, strategy mishaps throughout the years with Ferrari generally, but with Leclerc specifically. I know Leclerc hasn't been always been that happy. I think at one point in the weekend, he was asking his engineer like what he should do, and he just kind of got ghosted. Like they didn't respond. So maybe this is a good thing. Yeah, maybe this is a good thing, but I don't know. I don't know who his new race engineer is going to be.
I'm just curious whose decision it was. Well, we'll see who the new race engineer will be and what he will be with him in Imola. And then after that, it's when there'll be a new race engineer. So there'll be a new race engineer in Monaco.
Ooh, okay.
Is that right? Oh my God, that does not sound great. Charles with his Monaco curse to have a new race engineer. I mean, it could be pure Monaco magic, and maybe Leclerc finally gets his
win,
a Monaco win. But
yeah, having a new race engineer at Monaco, which is kind of a finicky track. Anyway, it is a lot about like your tire strategy because there's really no overtaking that happens on track.
Yeah.
It's usually like a big DRS train, so you have to get the strategy right.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I mean, I'm loving this season. I don't know about you, but like,
Max
hasn't won every race, so that's so exciting. Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot happening. More to talk about. Like it's pretty close to points at the top of the grid, so it'll be fun to see. I don't think McLaren this is a fluke, but Ferrari's bringing upgrades to Imola. I think Haas is bringing some upgrades to Imola. We'll see. Like McLaren looked way faster than Ferrari this week.
Yeah.
Even though Sainz and Piastri were battling it out, it looked like Piastri generally had more pace. So yeah, we'll see how it goes when Ferrari brings their own upgrades. But I think McLaren's looking pretty good.
Okay.
And then quickly on some other news, Kimi Antonelli and Mick Schumacher are getting pitted against each other at a test session at Silverstone. And so I don't know like what they're trying to do, if they're trying to like just, see what Kimi's pace looks like compared to the other reserve driver, see, how they fare against each other. I think it has more at stake for Kimi than for Mick probably. If Kimi does really well I think, Mercedes are more likely to accelerate his kind of progression into F1. If Mick does really well, like I don't think it changes all too much, because we've already kind of seen what he can do.
Yeah, I feel like if Mick was a real contender, we wouldn't be talking about Kimi Antonelli right now.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So, which is a shame because I feel like Mick didn't get a good seat in F1 and maybe he had more, but also like mindset is everything. So he was probably just like, you're not good. And now he believes that and he's not going to show us what he could have done. But who knows? He's still young.
Yeah.
F1 changes by the day.
It's really hard. It's hard when like they get a chance in F1 and then they have to be a reserve driver for a while if it doesn't work out. I think it's really hard for drivers to then come back into F1 after that.
Yeah, we're seeing that with Daniel.
Yeah. And then there's some news around Adrian Newey leaving and that causing like the floodgates to open. And I think Zach Brown had a quote saying they've been getting a ton of CVs, like resumes from people from Red Bull. And Toto Wolff was like, Zach's not lying. We're also seeing a lot of CVs. So it seems
a lot of Red Bull CVs.
Yeah, Red Bull
across
CVs.
all levels.
Yeah. So it sounds like with Adrian leaving, it doesn't even matter like where he's gonna end up. It seems like a lot of people just want to leave with him and like go somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
The rumor
we see where the loyalties lie.
We'll see where the loyalties
with
lie.
Christian Horner.
Nope. Well, the rumor last week was that after Miami, Toto and Max would be meeting, or like Team Verstappen would be meeting to discuss that. And then it seems like they were said like, no, that's not going to happen anymore. Like Max is staying with Red Bull. But who knows? I don't think that pen has hit paper yet on many contracts. So silly season is still to come.
And we still don't know where Adrian Newey's going to go.
Yeah. So we'll see. Watch him not go anywhere. So I was listening to
go ahead.
I podcast Beyond the Grid, and Zach Brown was the guest, and he was saying how Adrian is actually one of his really good friends, and I think that they're playing golf they're going to be in Monaco this week, I think. So I had a feeling that there'd be rumors like Zach spotted with Adrian, but this was already planned. He said that he doesn't really have a place for Adrian at McLaren right now, but like never say never.
Interesting.
Right? Doesn't everybody want Adrian Newey?
Yeah, maybe how do you not have a space for him?
Maybe he was bluffing. Yeah.
It might be a huge smokescreen. Who knows? One last piece of news, I think, is that Ferrari or F1 was testing these like spray guards for wet tires with Ferrari. So essentially like all of the times that it's been raining, they haven't been able to use the wet tires because of the spray. So even though the tires are good enough for grip in the wet, they had kept, red flagging all those sessions because the spray was too bad. So they're testing out the spray guards. People are complaining it doesn't look cool, but I feel like for me, if it means that they can race in wet conditions, that'll just be more fun. It always adds a little bit of intrigue to the race, and it's too bad when they just red flag it. And they never been using the wet tires; they've only been using intermediates. So yeah, should be cool if that works.
When I first saw the post on Instagram, I don't know why I thought it was like a grass shaver. Like I thought it was a grass cutter or something. And then I have a follow-up question if you know the answer. Is it only Ferrari testing that? Is that a Ferrari specific item or it's across F1?
I think F1 was just like had Ferrari test it out for them.
Okay.
But it would be implemented for everyone.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. But doesn't it look like it's a grass shaver?
Now that you mention it, yeah, kind of.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else that we need to talk about?
I mean, anything else? Yeah, I feel like that was a lot. No, I think we covered it all.
Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, you know what? We should talk about Lando's merch release. He's capitalizing on Lando No Wins. So a lot of people were calling him Lando No Wins, which that's so mean. And like, I think it's funny that these drivers know what's being said about them, like, because it's very much like a TikTok social media thing, and he knows he's called Lando
No, he said
Norris.
it on the radio. He was like, Lando Noen, huh? No more.
Yeah, so his whole new like merch line after his win is like Lando no wins, but the no is like scratched out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might get something from the line. I don't know what to get. I think actually there was something new released today. I think it was a picture of him popping the sparkling wine bottle. So I have to see, but I feel like I should get a little something just for the man.
We should.
Yeah.
I need to get a new t-shirt because it's got like the trophy, but I need one with like the actual winning trophy.
Yeah, you just need to add to that one. And that has his old Miami helmet, the basketball on there.
Yeah, the basketball.
Yeah. So nice to be a McLaren and a Lando fan.
I know. I don't want this week to end. Like,
is this what Max fans feel like all the time? My cheeks hurt from smiling.
No, Max fans don't feel this because it happens like every single week. So it's like Max isn't even celebrating it. It's just so fun when it's like someone like Lando because he's just genuinely seems so happy. And he was so excited, and like it's hard to not be excited seeing someone being so excited. But when Max wins, he's just like, "Yep, this again," like just another week.
Yeah.
So,
well, they also asked Lando, they said, do you think your relationship with Max will change if you keep challenging him or depriving him of wins? And he said, yeah, that it could change a little bit. And I could see that maybe, they're all buddies right now, sharing planes at the club together. But I definitely think if Lando gets like 2 or 3 more wins on Max, like they might have to be separated.
Maybe. Max is pretty competitive in that way. So,
yeah. Okay. Well, this was great. If you are listening, go drop a comment on our latest Instagram post and let us know what was your fave WTF and oh my god moment of the race. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribed so you get notified when a new episode is released. Leave us a comment and join us on Discord. Come chat with us. We will see you next week for an Imola preview. Bye.
Bye.